What happens when Barack Obama, known for his composed demeanor, faces outright disrespect in a high-stakes meeting? The room fell silent, anticipation thick in the air as attendees awaited his response. The setting was a prestigious international conference room, gleaming under the bright lights, filled with diplomats and leaders from across the globe. Amidst the polished wooden tables and flags representing diverse nations, Obama's quiet manner became the unintended center of attention. As the meeting progressed, a prominent foreign delegate, driven by his own prejudices and perhaps a desire to unsettle the former U.S. president, openly criticized Obama's calm approach to discussions. "Why so silent, Mr. Obama? We expected words, not whispers from someone of your stature," he mocked, drawing murmurs from the room. The tension escalated as all eyes turned to Obama, who had remained composed, his hands folded in front of him. Obama's response was not immediate, giving the room a moment to absorb the weight of the insult. Instead of reacting with equal disdain, he paused, looking slowly around the room at the faces of young diplomats and seasoned politicians alike, each holding their breath for his reply. His voice, when it finally broke the silence, was neither raised nor strained but carried a firmness that demanded attention. In leadership, the value of words is measured not by their volume but by their impact, Obama began, his steady gaze sweeping across the room. It's easy to raise one's voice, to make oneself heard by sheer force. But it takes strength to speak softly and still carry the weight of conviction. It takes courage to choose silence over shouting, to discuss rather than dictate. As he spoke, the initial shock of the delegate's harsh words began to dissolve, replaced by a growing respect for Obama's handling of the situation. He outlined his perspective on diplomacy and leadership, emphasizing respect, thoughtfulness, and the powerful impact of measured speech. His response was not just a rebuttal, but a lesson in the very essence of diplomatic discourse. The climax of this encounter was not marked by dramatic gestures or heightened voices, but by a profound realization among the attendees. They saw firsthand the strength it takes to remain dignified in the face of undue criticism. Obama's approach transformed what could have been a divisive moment into a showcase of moral leadership. The resolution came as the meeting adjourned, with many delegates approaching Obama, expressing their admiration and support for his conduct. The foreign delegate who had challenged him remained quiet, his earlier confidence tempered by the lesson he'd unwittingly prompted. The moral was clear and resonated deeply within the conference hall. True leadership is demonstrated through composure and respect, even under provocation. As the participants dispersed, the story of Obama's dignified response spread beyond the walls of the conference room, inspiring discussions and articles about the power of quiet strength in leadership. In closing, the narrative of this encounter serves as a reminder of the impact one can have when choosing grace over aggression. What do you think about choosing silence as a form of strength? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more insightful stories like this. As the conference continued, the atmosphere subtly shifted. The once palpable tension eased, replaced by a reflective quiet that lingered in the interactions that followed. Obama, having set a profound example, moved through the sessions with his characteristic calm, engaging with various leaders with a respect that was now reciprocated more noticeably than before. His approach at the meeting became a topic of side conversations, where many younger diplomats expressed admiration for his restraint and wisdom. In one of the subsequent sessions, a discussion about international policy gave Obama another opportunity to reinforce his stance. When a debate arose over environmental regulations, voices raised around the table, each delegate eager to push their country's agenda. Once again, Obama waited for the right moment to speak, his silence gathering attention. "Why shout when we can discuss?" Obama interjected, his tone even but compelling. "We all share the same planet. Let's talk about solutions, not just problems." His words resonated, prompting nods and a gradual calming of voices around the room. It wasn't just his words that influenced the room, but the respectful way he delivered them, fostering a collaborative atmosphere. As the meeting days unfolded, the initial incident with the rude delegate unfolded into a series of teachable moments. Obama used each opportunity not only to advocate for his policies, but to demonstrate a leadership style that prioritized listening over lecturing, understanding over ultimatums. His interactions were not about winning arguments, but about bridging differences and finding common ground. Toward the end of the conference, a young diplomat approached Obama during a coffee break. "Mr. Obama, your approach has been incredibly inspiring. How do you manage to stay so composed?" she asked, her notebook ready for notes. "It's not always easy," Obama confessed with a smile. "But it's necessary. Sometimes, the best way to be heard is to speak softly. It makes people lean in, listen more closely." This exchange, though brief, highlighted the personal impact of Obama's demeanor on upcoming leaders. As the conference neared its conclusion, the efficacy of Obama's approach was evident. The final resolutions reflected a balanced compromise, influenced by the cooperative tone he had helped establish. In his closing remarks, Obama didn't dwell on his earlier confrontation, but chose to highlight the collaborative efforts and the collective progress made. "Let's take this experience back to our countries," he urged. "Let's remember that diplomacy is about more than just what we say. It's about how we say it and the respect we give each other." The conference ended on a high note, with many delegates feeling more equipped and inspired to pursue diplomacy that respects diversity and fosters genuine dialogue. The story of the conference, particularly Obama's role in transforming a potential conflict into a lesson on leadership and respect, left a lasting impression not only on those who attended, but also on those who would later read about or watch recountings of the event. What are your thoughts on the power of calm leadership? Comment below. And remember to hit that subscribe button for more discussions like this. The impact of the conference lingered long after the final speeches were made and the delegates had returned to their respective countries. Stories of the event circulated through various news outlets, blogs, and social media, highlighting Barack Obama's pivotal role in steering the discussions towards more constructive and respectful dialogues. His demeanor and the profound simplicity of his approach became a model for effective leadership, discussed in universities and leadership seminars worldwide. Back in the United States, Obama continued to advocate for the principles he demonstrated at the conference. In a series of public speeches and interviews, he emphasized the importance of calm, measured communication in politics. "It's not just about making our voices heard, but about making sure we listen," Obama noted during an interview with a major news network. "True progress comes from understanding and respect, which are fostered by how we communicate, not just what we communicate." The ripple effects of his actions were visible not only in political circles, but also in everyday situations where people found themselves challenged to maintain composure and respect in heated moments. Schools started implementing communication workshops that centered around the themes Obama showcased: respect, listening, and calmness in conflict situations. Meanwhile, the foreign delegate who had initially sparked the controversy reached out to Obama with a letter of apology, acknowledging his previous misjudgment and expressing gratitude for the lessons learned. "Your response was a wake-up call for me," he wrote. "It made me rethink not only my approach to diplomacy, but also how I handle disagreements in my personal life." This reconciliation was featured in a follow-up segment by a prominent media outlet, further underscoring the story's moral about the strength found in respectful responses to conflict. Viewers and readers were invited to reflect on their own experiences and consider how adopting a similar approach could lead to positive changes in their interactions. As the narrative of the conference continued to inspire, Obama took one final opportunity to cement the message during a well-attended public event. "Let's not forget that behind every policy, every debate, there are people, relationships that can last beyond the moments of conflict," he stated. "By choosing to respond with respect, we open doors to real solutions and lasting peace." The story closed on a note of universal relevance, inviting the audience to apply these lessons in their daily lives. Whether in international politics, workplace dynamics, or personal relationships, the principles of respect and thoughtful communication hold the key to resolving conflicts and building stronger connections. So, what steps will you take to incorporate these principles into your daily interactions? Share your plans in the comments, and if you found this story inspiring, please subscribe for more content that makes a difference. As the message of respectful and thoughtful communication continued to resonate, it sparked a broader movement towards more effective and empathetic leadership across various sectors. Companies began to revamp their management training programs to include modules on emotional intelligence and conflict resolution, emphasizing the same principles that Obama showcased. These changes aim to create a more supportive and cooperative corporate culture, mirroring the diplomatic tact seen at the international conference. Educational institutions integrated these concepts into their curricula, from primary schools to universities, teaching students the value of listening and the strength in calm responses. Workshops and role-playing exercises became common, where students could practice these skills in scenarios modeled after real-life situations. The community impact was equally significant. Local government meetings, often marred by disputes and high tensions, adopted new rules for dialogue, encouraging participants to engage in a manner akin to the example set by Obama. These meetings saw increased participation and more productive outcomes, as community members felt more heard and respected. The influence of Obama's example even reached international platforms, where global leaders referenced his approach during speeches and negotiations. At a subsequent United Nations Assembly, several leaders cited the conference as a turning point in how diplomatic discussions could be conducted with mutual respect and patience. In his continued advocacy, Obama partnered with global peace organizations to develop initiatives that promote dialogue over division. These initiatives included international forums where leaders and citizens from conflict zones came together to learn and apply these crucial communication skills. As these efforts unfolded, the initial story of the conference became a foundational lesson shared worldwide. It was not just about one moment of personal restraint. It was about sparking a shift towards a more empathetic and effective approach to conflict and leadership. This shift was evident in the testimonials from individuals and groups who adopted these methods, sharing stories of transformed relationships and resolved conflicts. The closing chapter of this narrative focused on a global summit dedicated to communication for peace, where Obama was invited as a key speaker. Here, he summarized the journey from that pivotal moment at the conference to the widespread changes it inspired. Each of us has the power to change the tone of our conversations, and therefore, the course of our relationships, Obama reflected. It starts with choosing to listen, to understand, and to respond with respect, even, especially, when it's difficult. As the summit concluded, attendees were encouraged to commit to these principles, spreading the message through their own networks and spheres of influence. The story concluded on a hopeful note, inviting viewers to consider how they too could contribute to a more respectful and peaceful world. What changes will you make in your communication to foster peace and understanding in your community? Leave your thoughts and commitments in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspirational stories like this. Let's make a difference together. With the momentum generated by the Communication for Peace Summit, the initiatives and principles discussed began to take root more deeply across various communities globally. The commitment to improve communication extended beyond formal meetings and into everyday interactions, encouraging a culture of deep listening and respect. This shift began to reshape relationships, turning adversarial encounters into opportunities for collaboration and understanding. The story's influence was particularly notable in areas of ongoing conflict, where local leaders started to organize their own workshops, inspired by the summit's outcomes. These workshops focused on teaching the skills necessary for mediating disputes and facilitating dialogues that respected all parties' perspectives. The success stories from these regions, often shared online and in local media, highlighted the practical applications of Obama's principles and their potential to foster peace in even the most troubled areas. In schools, the emphasis on communication led to noticeable changes in student behavior. Bullying rates dropped as students learned to express their feelings and resolve conflicts through words rather than aggression. Teachers reported a more harmonious classroom environment, where students were more willing to listen to each other and work together to solve problems. In the corporate world, companies that embraced these communication techniques reported improvements in team dynamics and productivity. Employees felt more valued and understood, which boosted morale and decreased turnover rates. Human resources departments across various industries began to highlight their commitment to respectful communication as a core value in their recruitment and training processes. As these stories multiplied, they were often featured in follow-up segments by the media outlets that had covered the initial conference. These segments provided a platform for individuals and organizations to share their experiences, further demonstrating the real-world impact of the principles Obama had championed. In response to this growing interest, a series of online courses and webinars was launched, offering tools and strategies for effective communication. These resources were made accessible to people from all walks of life, ensuring that anyone interested could learn and apply these skills. The courses quickly gained popularity, with thousands signing up to learn how to apply the art of respectful dialogue in their personal and professional lives. The narrative culminated in a year-end review published by a renowned international peace organization, which detailed the widespread adoption of these communication principles and their impact on global peace efforts. The review praised Obama's ongoing involvement and his role as a catalyst for change, inspiring continued efforts worldwide. As we close this story, we reflect on the power of words and the profound impact they can have on the world. How will you use your words to make a difference? Share your ideas and actions in the comments below, and remember to subscribe to stay updated on more empowering stories. Together, we can build a more understanding and peaceful world.